At the top left of the screen you've got a button for home, then a button for instructions and a button to enter the CD-ROM itself. So click on the Mosaic alphabet and then you will see the first screen. Now the Mosaic alphabet CD-ROM will automatically recognise the fonts that you have got preloaded into your computer. So if I just scroll through these fonts I can find any font there that's already preloaded onto the computer that I like. But just for the purposes of this demonstration I'm going to go back to the Arial font that came up to begin with. So I'm just going to go back to Arial, click on that, and that's the font that we're going to be using. There are various things that you can do with your Mosaic Marvels alphabet CD-ROM. For instance, you can select bold or italic text. You can also change the background and the foreground colour, effectively the background colour and the font colour. So let's change the background colour to a nice sort of pale pink, or even purple. Well, there's the pink. And let's change the font colour to a deeper coloured pink. So now you can see a beautiful contrast there. So you've got 130 colours in the fonts and 130 background colours, so you've got lots to choose from. And the great thing about this CD-ROM is it will enable you to make your own background papers. Now, moving down the screen, you've got various boxes. You've got what to print. Now you can print letters A to Z, you can print numbers 0 to 9, you can print letters A to Z and 0 to 9, or you can select free text. And I'll explain these buttons along the bottom in a moment or two. Now, you'll notice that the box A to Z has been checked. So if I just print, or if I just go to the print button, this won't actually send it to the printer, but it will send it to a print preview screen. So if I just click on that, you can now see there that the letters A to Z are continuously repeated over that sheet. Now that will print out as an A4 sheet with those letters printed continuously. Now at this stage we have these letters printed or appearing on a 1 centimetre square. Now there is a 1mm border around that square. Now the different sizes that you can go up to are anything from 1 centimetres right the way through to 6 centimetres. So you can do some really large tiles using this CD-ROM. Now going back to the 1 centimetre square, if I wished I could just print it out just like that. I could remove the border altogether, so I've got a solid sheet. This would be a fabulous background sheet. Or if I wanted to, I could take that gap up still further, right the way up to 10mm. I'll take it right the way back down again to 1mm, and then that enables me to show you the coloured border option. Now at the moment it's got a white border around it, but if you wanted to you could give this a coloured border. Now to give it a coloured border all you have to do is check the coloured border box just there. So if I click that box, you can see now that we have got a coloured border around all of those squares. Now to show you that in a little bit more detail, I'll go right the way up to 6 centimetres once again, and then I'll go back down to the 1 centimetre square. Now for those of you that like iris folding, we have an ability here to print strips so that you can do iris folded or similar to iris folded projects. So if I just click on the horizontal box there, you've got horizontal strip printing or vertical strip printing. Now if you don't want the border going around those squares, I can remove that, or I could remove the border altogether so you've got a solid block for your strip folding. Now going back to the full sheet, if I just turn the strip folding off, all I need to do now is send this to the printer if I want to print this sheet. So if I click printer settings, I can select the type of printing that I wanted to do. Now each printer varies, but much of them will, or most of them will have a button or a section similar to this. You can usually print best, normal, everyday or fast draft. It's on normal at the moment, but I'm going to select everyday. So if I just click on that and click OK, and then click OK again, I can then send this to my printer to print out. So having printed out your A to Z sheet, you could then go into 0 to 9, A to Z 0 to 9, or free text. Now one of the most exciting parts of this CD-ROM is the ability to print out free text. Now all you have to do to print out free text is select that box and then you can type whatever you wish in the box underneath. Now at this point you have got further options. Now if for instance you wanted to produce a background sheet that had somebody's name running through it and you wanted to create an unusual pattern out of that name, then you would check the continuous text box. So I've checked that box, and now I'm just going to place my cursor in the middle of that box and I'm going to type my name. So the best thing to do, by the way, is to put a space in before you type anything, and I'll explain why. If I didn't put a space in there, I'll just type Barry. If I then go to the print preview box, you will see that there is no space between the words at all. Now that may be okay, but if you wanted to have a space, the best thing to do is to put a space before you begin to type, and then I'll look at the print preview again and you can see how different that makes it look. Now if you want to make it look even more different, just put some more spaces in there and you can see how that will change the look of that background sheet. You can also, if you want to, this is set for portrait at the moment, but you could also, if you wanted to, set it for landscape. And again, that is going to give you some different effects depending how many spaces you put in there. Now, one of the other interesting features about free text is that you can write specific messages into this. So if I just take that box off now, I've got repeat there. Now, to show you what I mean by that, if I just type in a message, Barry Freestone, 17th of August 1960. If you then look in the print preview box, you can see that it's actually written that out, and it's written it out continuously, or one line underneath the other. Now obviously you need to adjust this to suit the words or the sentences that you are writing. So if I just take that out again and put 170860, you can see how it's laid it out, one underneath the other. Now you've got another option with this as well. If I just close that down, if I check the centered box, it will also center the text right in the middle of the page. Now that is another way of using this CD-ROM to produce some different effects. So effectively, as long as you take a note of the different spacing that you've got, you could write out a whole poem onto this, and you could have that with the coloured text that you like, together with a coloured background that you like as well. Now just to give you an idea how that works, what I've done here is written out a few lines from a well-known children's nursery rhyme. Now what I've done is written short sentences there, because this is going to be printing out in portrait, and you will get used to knowing just how long those sentences can be to make sure that you get all of your words on the line. Now if I press the print preview again, you can see how beautifully laid out that is. Now obviously if you were to print out something in landscape, you could make your sentences even longer. Now that is centered at the moment, but if I wanted to, I could take it off being centered, so just click that box, print preview again, and you can see that what it's done there is it's printed it on one side of the page. Now if I select portrait again, you can see how lovely that looks. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece as white as snow, repeated right the way throughout the page. Now at the moment there are no borders around any of these squares, so if I just put a border in there, you can see how it changes the look of that nursery rhyme. I can change the look of the nursery rhyme still further by putting a coloured border in there. Now if I just check the coloured border box, which is just there, just click on that, and now you can see that there is a coloured border around all of those squares, giving it a completely different look. If you don't want to print a full page, you can also select half page. There's a button there for half page. Just click on half page, and there you will have a half page. And you can also change that for landscape as well if you want to. So I'll just uncheck that box. So now we've got a full page once again. Now as I said before, this CD-ROM will recognise the different fonts that you have got preloaded into your computer. So let's just select something a little bit different from what we've already got, just to give you an idea of how that works. So let's just look at Bookman Old Style. Okay, that's nice, but I think I'd rather have something like that, something a bit scripty. So if I just press print preview again, and so I'll go back to there and just press centered actually. And then if I get rid of that border once again, you can see how that has laid itself out. So if I now choose portrait, you can see how it's laid out that nursery rhyme but looking completely different. Now that's one of the features, but if I go back to the other feature where you can do continuous text, if I just click off and click back onto continuous text, now we can do something a little bit more personal again. So if I just backspace over that and put a space in, and we can put new baby girl. If I then click on the print preview, you can see how that is beautifully laid out on that sheet. Now if you printed that off, obviously that would make a wonderful background sheet for a card, or indeed it would make a wonderful insert sheet for a card as well if that's how you wanted to use it. So just to recap then, from the top of the screen you've got the ability to select any script or any text or any font style that is already preloaded onto your computer. Below that you have got the ability to change that into bold or italic, or indeed both. Below that you've got 130 different background colours, right from the very boldest colour right up to the very palest colour, and of course on the front side of it you've got the same ability. You've got 130 colours from the very strongest colours to the very palest colours. Then below that you've got the ability to print letters A to Z, 0 to 9, A to Z, 0 to 9, and that fabulous free text option, along with the bottom the ability to print continuous text, to print centered text, and just to enable you to do some really individual projects. Then when you go into the print preview screen, you then got the ability to change how many sheets that you print out. You can print in portrait or landscape. You can also change the border to have a coloured border. You can do strip printing with it if you wanted to. You can also print squares from 1 centimetre right the way up to 6 centimetres. So you really do have an incredibly versatile item that you will get lots and lots of fun using. And once you've selected print, you can send your project sheet straight to your printer and then it will print out.